All right, so there I was, strolling through the mall, minding my own business. I'm a 32-year-old chick who just wanted some new kicks, nothing fancy, just something comfy. Little did I know, my day was about to take a wild turn, all thanks to an entitled Karen with a temper hotter than a jalapeno. I'm checking out the latest shoe collection when I noticed this lady, probably in her late 40s, glaring at the shelves like they owed her money. She had that classic, I need to speak to your manager haircut. You know the one, short and spiky. I figured she was just having a bad day, but boy, was I in for a surprise. So I'm browsing, and Karen struts over to me, all huffy, and goes, "You, where's the manager? I've been looking for someone to help me, and no one seems to care around here." I look at her thinking, "Lady, I'm just trying to find some sneakers, not be your personal shopper." But, I'm a nice person, so I point her toward the actual employees. She marches off, and I think that's the end of it. But, oh no, the drama was just getting started. I spot her talking to this poor guy who works there. Let's call him Jake. Jake's got this bewildered look on his face like he's trying to figure out why his day just took a nosedive. Karen starts barking at him about some shoe size, US sizes or something. I'm not sure. I just wear what fits. Jake, being the retail hero he is, tells her he'll check if they have it in the bag. Now, Jake comes back with 2 boxes, one bigger and one smaller. He's all, "Sorry, ma'am, we don't have your size here, but you can check at our other branch. I brought these if you want to try them while you're there." Now, I'm thinking, all right, problem solved, right? Oh, how wrong I was. Karen, instead of appreciating Jake's effort, snatches the boxes like she's auditioning for a heist movie. She sits down trying on the shoes, and then, like a storm rolling in, she drops the bomb. "Go fetch my size from the other branch." "Chop, chop," she says, waving him off like he's her personal servant. Jake, to his credit, stays cool. He's like, "Sorry, ma'am, I can't do that. You'll have to check there yourself." And that, my friends, is when all hell breaks loose. Karen, not getting what she wants, goes from 0 to 60 in a heartbeat. She takes off the shoes, the ones Jake brought for her to try, mind you, and hurls them at him like she's trying out for the Olympics. Now, at this point, I've had enough. I step in, not because I'm some hero, but because throwing shoes at people is just not cool. I give her the classic, "Are you serious right now?" Look and say, "Lady, what's your deal? You can't just throw a tantrum in shoes because they don't have your size. Chill out." She looks at me like I'm the one who just insulted her entire family. Mind your own business, sweetheart. This is between me and this useless employee. That's it. I'll whip out my phone, dial 911, and tell them we've got a live one in the shoe store. But Karen, realizing she's crossed a line, starts blabbering about how she knows the owner and how she's going to get Jake fired. I roll my eyes so hard, I'm surprised they don't get stuck. In no time, Mal security arrives and the police aren't far behind. Karen's face goes from angry to pale when she sees the real authorities getting involved. She's stammering, trying to explain herself, but the cops aren't having it. They listen to Jake's side of the story. They hear mine, and they even check the security footage, which, by the way, is probably going viral on social media right now. Long story short, they slap the cuffs on Corinne, who's now trying to play the victim card. She's yelling about how she's going to sue everyone and how she knows her rights. As they're leading her away, I can't resist a little parting shot. Maybe next time, just buy your shoes online where you won't hurt anyone with your tantrums. And that, my friends, is the day I witnessed the infamous shoe. Throw and Karen get a one-way ticket to the slammer. The lesson here? If you're having a bad day, maybe skip the mall and do some online shopping. It's better for everyone involved. This happened a few years ago. I received a phone call from an HR person from a staffing agency I almost worked for at one point. That's another funny story for another day. I got through the greetings and small talk and got down to business. HR, I have a person applying for a job with one of our customers. Me, sort of confused. No one gave me a heads up. Who are we talking about? HR, your friend Moe. Me, who? HR, Moe last name, he said he worked with you at the email company. Me, oh, okay, I remember him. But I'm not sure why he put my name down. We didn't work all that closely. I interacted with his team only peripherally because we had equipment in his office. I don't really feel comfortable providing a reference. HR, well, that's sort of our fault. We sort of pressure him to cough up references on the fly. Me, I don't feel comfortable providing a reference. HR. Come on, OP, we know each other, help me out. Me. Well, not being his manager, I can't discuss his performance. HR. Okay, can I ask you about his technical skills and you comment those? Me. Fine, ask away. HR. How is Mo with software package 1? Me. Okay, I guess maybe 2.5 out of 5. 5.5 is extremely rare for this software. I might be 4.7, and I've used the software for 20 plus years and even flown to the vendor's HQ to work of technology issues and help design future versions of products with them. HR. Great. How is he with hardware platform 1? Me. Well, in the time he was at the email company, he never touched the platform. If he gained knowledge from elsewhere, I can't comment. HR. Wait, that can't be right. He said he lead the hardware platform 1 refresh project. Me. Well, that's not true. HR email company is huge. Is it possible you weren't aware of the project? Me. No, I'm very aware of the project and he wasn't leading it. HR. How can you be so sure? Me. Because I lead that project. HR. Very uncomfortably. Oh. Me. I think it's best for everyone we end the call here. I think you have a phone call to make. HER. Yeah, that's probably best. I didn't necessarily bash him, but just set the record straight. I don't know if this quite qualifies as an entitled parent, but it's starting to get under my skin. Overall, I have great in-laws. They are very involved with our kids, and they have been supportive of our relationship since we were high school sweethearts. They are good people. However, I've noticed a trend with my father-in-law over the 9 years that I've been with my husband. He always has suggestions and advice to give when it comes to big life decisions, and if we don't go along with what he suggests or go to him for help, he gets annoyed and witches about it to my husband or mother-in-law or brother-in-law. For example, when I got pregnant with baby 1, he wanted us to tell him the name. I didn't want to, and he kept joking that he'd get it out of us or convince my husband to tell him. When we finally revealed the name we were thinking of, we had to go with that name because he liked it and the other names weren't his favorite. When we got engaged, he suggested that we contact his friend who is an amateur photographer to do our engagement and wedding photos. When we went with a professional, he didn't like the pictures very much because of the shadows or the looks on our faces or the fact that we weren't looking at the camera very often. When we were looking for a vacation house, he suggested that we do what his friends did and call a real estate agency directly to get a good price for a rental. When I tried that, it ended up being far cheaper to just go through a vacation rental website, and he seemed annoyed at that. Now that we're trying to buy a house, we're trying to keep the process to ourselves. For years, he told us that when we're ready, let him know and he'd connect us with his friend who does mortgage loans or something. Well, last week I was casually hunting around and researching, and I ended up getting us pre-approved for a mortgage one evening out of curiosity. We toured a house we love and father-in-law caught wind of it. And he went on a rant to brother-in-law about how we should have gone to him and mother-in-law because they have experience with home buying and they could have probably got us better deals. It wouldn't have mattered. The loan officer was very honest about our options and it matched up with the research I did. We want to share our lives with him and we know that he has a lot of good life experience and just wants to help us. But I'm a little tired of him getting upset every time we try and make big life decisions on our own. For context, I'm a 22-year-old French girl, born to 2 parents living in a village, and I have a 25-year-old older brother. I apologize in advance for the length of my text, but I think the details are important. I always thought we were a poor family, but we were actually middle class. I always accepted not doing a lot of activities or any extracurricular activities, and I accepted to pay attention to money. I saw a lot of my friends having pocket money, new clothes, beautiful gifts. I had a helmet for my 10th year's old birthday and being allowed to go to sleepovers. I was forced to wear clothes my mom liked and that I hated. I learned to keep my mouth shut as no differences were visible when I said I didn't like them. Even for my glasses that I hide in school. My parents separated when I was at the end of uni, but for years before, they fought. So much that I hated being in the house. I was put between my parents. The classic, your mother did this, your father did that. I quickly ran away, boarding school, then unite in another city with my own apartment. A year abroad, and now I'm leaving in another part of the country. I didn't, and I still don't get much news. Not too good at that, and I don't have much to tell them. My apartment was at my own expenses. I had my own money that I worked for, some grants and scholarships to pay for everything. During this period, I didn't come home much, often to visit friends in the area and use my mother's car. She tried to get closer to me, but all she did was complain, comment on her situation, and so on. At that time, I was struggling financially, and I didn't say anything as I was afraid that they would start controlling my spending, which wasn't exorbitant. In the end, I confessed that I was going to food banks, and my mother said, "I'm glad you're taking advantage of this system." Not the support I'd hoped for. When a friend of mine found out, her mother immediately made me a box of food. The summer I turned 20, my mother told me she'd filed for divorce, and my reaction was finally. For years, I'd been telling her to get a divorce whenever she told me about her marital problems. I didn't want to be a therapist, but I felt I was the shoulder she was going to complain on whenever she could. After that, they finally agreed to send me money every month until I finished my studies. I was in my last year of bachelor degree. My mother €25, my father €75. My friends always told me it wasn't much, but I accepted it. I could see my mother affording new furniture at €600 a piece and a vacation at €1,600 for 2 weeks, but I didn't tell her at the time what I thought of their upbringing and my financial situation. Here I am today, back from abroad in August. When I came back, my mother blamed me for everything, that I wasn't grateful for what they'd done for me, that I didn't give them any news, that I don't understand the value of money, that I never supported her when her situation was tough. She blames me for not being close to my brother. I made her understand that I would never be close to him because we were too different, and that someone who tells me I'm the cause of my parents' divorce without ever apologizing doesn't deserve me to go to him as if nothing had happened. She told me I was going too far, that if I didn't make an effort, he never would, and that the sibling relationship would be ruined. Now living in another town in France, a long way from our region, I continue to give little news and live my quiet life. I'm seeing a therapist and trying to find my way. Then, a few days ago, I received a message from my mother telling me that now that I've stopped studying, she's no longer obliged to pay me money. So she's going to stop that. I can manage on my own. That she has confidence in me and kisses. I was shocked. €25 a month isn't much, so I don't really care. But the symbol behind it is big. I'm 22, trying to find my way, and my mother doesn't want to support me anymore. I explained to her what I understood, and she told me that she longed for more peace, that I couldn't understand her situation, that she didn't want to worry about others anymore because she'd done it too much in her life, that she was willing to help me by talking with me but no longer financially because she had imperatives. I told her that I could rely more on my friends and my boyfriend than on my own family, that they'd never been there to help me move out, look for an apartment, etc., that I'd never been able to count on them, so I wasn't surprised by her decision. She made me feel guilty, as usual, telling me that I was hurting her, that I was making her look like a bad mother, that I wasn't grateful for the sacrifice she'd made for me. Her words, that I never helped her, that she recognizes her mistakes, only with the 3 words in quotation marks that I've just written, and that she'd had to manage on her own, not having had a quarter of what I'd had when I was younger, so I had to do the same and other mean stuff. I don't know what to make of our relationship. We hardly talk to each other. Every time we fight, and I'm tired of her blaming me for things all the time, and when I try to make her understand where my reactions come from, she digs her heels in and melodramatizes. She tells me I'll understand why she did it later. Am I wrong? This is true that I used her house and her car to go see friends, that I didn't help. Am I supposed to, since I'm her child in her 20s? That I blamed her and didn't give news? Is she wrong? What should I do with this draining and unproductive relationship? So I live in a house with my brother. My name and our mom's name is on the deed. The way the deal was struck 2 years ago when we started this is that all 3 of us would move in together and expenses would be split 3 ways. My mom provided a little less than 50% of the cost of the house. I got a mortgage for the rest in my name because I'm the only one with good credit. My brother fixed up the house. He equated the work he did to around $10,000 if he was charging a stranger. I also paid $10,000 in materials. At one point during construction, we all got into a screaming argument where Mom and I threatened to kick my bro out and he told us we couldn't. I looked him in the eye and told him I would pay him $10,000 for his work and kick him the hell out. He decided not to press his luck and construction continued it. The intention was for Mom to live there until she dies, my bro to continue to rent the property forever, and me to eventually move on and buy another house. Well, Mom decided not to come live with us. Then I started paying for work to be done. Concreting the front walkway, getting gutters put on the house, plumbing problems, exact problems, etc. I'd do all the communal cleaning and even clean his bathroom before I stopped and thought, wait, why the heck am I doing this? Honestly, it's not good for us to live together. We don't mesh well. I also didn't understand the impact of 2 mortgages on my lending capability and won't be able to get out without renting somewhere else for 5-10 years at least. We ultimately decided that he will move out and he's in looking for a few weeks. Well, he approached me last night and brought up the $10K. Apparently, Mom tried talking to him about it, and honestly, it took some effort to control my face. That money has been more than made up in his reduced rent over the last 2 years. If anything, I thought he would ask to take the fridge and washer that he bought with him, and I would offer to buy them off him. My bro basically said Mom tried to talk to him about it, and he distracted her by changing the subject, but he wanted to talk to me about it. It essentially boiled down to, I don't want that $10K. You're family and you don't take money from family. Found a place and I want to move around the 5th. 7th, but pay the guy on the 1st to lock it in. Would you be willing to waive the rent for January and let me keep my tools in the shed? I asked him point blank if she was trying to get me to pay him, and he essentially responded that he cut her off before he could hear the whole thing. Part of me thinks this might have been a negotiation tactic to get me to agree, but to be honest, I already expected to waive a month's rent, give him an extended move-out period, and let him keep his tools in the shed. I also told him he could keep his house key so that he can access said shit and said I would help him move. I have a lock on my bedroom door, and that's where I keep my valuables, so no worries about him getting into anything of value. He told me he would also give me a copy of his new key for emergencies and replace a faulty bathroom light before he leaves. So, negotiation successful. No idea if Mom was trying something else by bringing up that tank, but if she actually intended for me to pay it, she's absolutely insane. How wild is it to promise someone else's money to someone? I honestly wouldn't put it past her. She's prioritized him over me before.